Alright, I'm Brad Wilson, and today I'm working on Phase 1, Deliverable 25. We're going to be making char cloth, and then we're going to test that later on with a ferro rod to see if we did that correctly.
Right, so I had some tinder originally that I was going to bring out here, left it at home, so I had to run around and find some materials as best I could. I've got a little bit of poplar from a small branch and some strangler vine. There's not much poplar or cedar or anything like that out here. It's mostly hardwoods and pine. So this is really all I could find as far as poplar. Underneath that is just some broom sedge. So this isn't the best construction of a tinder bundle at all. It's terrible. But I think as long as we understand what it takes to combust and create fire, as long as we've got enough kindling and things like that nearby, I believe I can still get a fire going just to start this process. Okay, I'm going to turn this over on itself and immediately start throwing those really fine plant material on there. Just going to do this chaotically. Fire loves chaos. Move some of my materials out of the way. Now I can start putting some more denser stuff on here. I've got this small poplar branch where I got the little bit of tinder from. This stuff's going to burn up really quick and just become ash almost instantly with that plant material, but once that poplar catches, it'll start burning good. This is a pretty down and dirty way of getting this fire going, but when it comes down to it, as long as we understand how to get fire going, that's all that matters. Making sure I don't put too much at one time and wait for that flame to get above the current fuel level. Now I can sort of start strategically placing these in different places. And I'm going to let this burn down to some coals, because that's all we really need to make char cloth. We don't want to necessarily have this big, fire going with flames and stick it right in there. We could do that, but I prefer not to. So while that's going on, we get my char tin here. Wow, it's already warm. Just a few minutes and sitting in front of that flame. And I've got just some piece of muslin cotton, 100% cotton. I'm using that, but I understand that I can use pretty much any natural material as well. Something like poplar bark will work really good. Cattail heads will work, and I've never used it, but I believe that mullein would probably work really well. I'll have to experiment with that later on. I'm just cutting these into like 1x2, 1x3, something like that, because the more surface area that we have, the more chance we have of catching a spark, especially if we're striking down on it. And I have to make enough to make 5 fires. So what I'm going to do is just fill this container up as much as I can, because this is going to burn down quite a bit. And I know that, you know, using 100% cotton material, I know that if I was in a real dire situation, I could use a t-shirt or a bandana or anything like that. And again, nature always provides as well, as long as we have the knowledge of that. I'd have to say that flint and steel is probably my favorite way of making fire. I know a lot of guys really like to test their skills and use a bow drill and stuff like that, and that is a lot of fun if you can get a fire going with a bow drill. Nothing really tops that, I don't think, but I don't know, something about flint and steel. It's a pretty old way of making fire. Essentially, it goes back to the time of Otzi, which I think is really cool because it's from the early days of man. They believe he goes back to 3300 BC, which is about 5,000 some years ago. So if that's the case, that's before the flood. Here's the process of making char cloth. As you can see, the gases are escaping, and we're going to let this sit until the gases stop. Then we're going to check it, test it with a ferro rod. Alright, so I moved it from the fire, let it get cool enough for me to open the container. And our material is good and black, which is a good sign, because if it were brown, that means it wasn't fully charred, and we would have to repeat the process till it was good and black. It's kind of windy, so I'm going to place a rock here so it won't blow away. Now is the moment of truth. Test it with a ferro rod. The wind's trying to blow our sparks. All right, it's starting to glow. All right, so that tells us that our material is good. So, thank you for watching. I'm Brad Wilson. This has been Phase 1, Deliverable 25. So, there you go. Thanks.